The film opens with Frank Perry reflecting on his daughter Zoe, who he deeply loves. With a somber expression, he walks through the rundown, grimy rooms he's been confined to for the past 14 years. As he goes about his daily routine, he moves toward the general population area of the prison, passing by Rizza, the dominant leader among the inmates. Soon after, 2-Ton, the prison's boxing champion, shouts catwalk, signaling the arrival of a new group of convicts. The prisoners immediately rush from their bunks to greet the newcomers. As part of their ritual, they taunt and jeer at the new, mostly shirtless men who are paraded in front of them. Perry is paired up with one of the newcomers, a scruffy young man named James Lacey. Perry, however, remains aloof and focused on his own affairs. Not long after, a prison officer delivers a letter to Perry's bunk, catching him off guard as he hasn't received any mail in years. Surprised, he examines the envelope and begins reading. The letter shatters his world as it reveals that his daughter has fallen into drug addiction and experienced 2 heart attacks. Greeting the news, Perry gazes longingly at a photo of Zoe before the lights are turned off, plunging him into darkness. Meanwhile, Lacey struggles to sleep in his own way, tormented by the noises and insults from other prisoners. He realizes that surviving this prison won't be easy. The following day, Perry finds his way to the chapel. With a heavy heart, he reads the letter again, admitting to himself how helpless he feels about his daughter's situation. In that moment, he makes a decision: he must find a way to see her. Suddenly, a loud creak from the wood next to him sparks an unexpected idea, an escape plan. For a man of his age, this notion seems daring and desperate, but it is his only option. At the same time, Viv Batista and Rizza continue their illicit operations in the prison library. Batista manufactures his drug, Cat, while Tony, a desperate addict, pleads with him for some. Batista refuses, telling Tony to ask his brother Rizza. Consumed by his addiction, Tony storms into the library, but Rizza intervenes before a scene can erupt.
He's getting cocky, Riz. He's laughing at me.
Perry's escape plan continues to take shape as he observes the prison's weak points and air vents. He plans to inform his trusted friend, Brody, about the escape, but first, he asks Lacey to leave the room. Brody senses something serious is about to be discussed. As Lacey exits, he is met with curious glances from the other inmates. The attention grows as more prisoners step out of their bunks. Trying to avoid the stares, Lacey hurries down the stairs and into the shower room, but the tension rises as Tony follows him. Lacey, feeling cornered, retreats, but Tony advances toward him with an unsettling look on his face. Back at the bunk, Perry turns to Brody, who is known for his knowledge of secret escape routes. Perry inquires if the laundry vents lead to the sewers. Brody, confused and wary, remains silent, though Perry's gaze reveals his determination. Perry explains the letter to Brody with a calm demeanor, sharing that he must see his daughter at any cost to make amends. Though Brody is strongly opposed to Perry's plan, he confirms that the vents do indeed lead to the sewers. With concern, Brody warns Perry about the steel barriers that will obstruct their way. In response, Perry reveals his plan to recruit Lenny Drake, a former boxer with experience breaking through tough obstacles. Brody, unable to understand the madness of the plan, argues with Perry before storming off. At that moment, Lacey returns, visibly shaken and bruised, his shirt torn and his face marked by the trauma of his encounter with Tony. He climbs into his bed, clutching his blanket in fear, unable to calm his racing heart. The next day, Perry seeks out Drake in the gym. Despite Drake's dismissive attitude, Perry casually shares his escape plan, explaining why he needs Drake's help. Trying not to draw the attention of the officers, Perry makes one final attempt to convince Drake by promising him freedom. Initially, Drake refuses, but after some contemplation, he reluctantly agrees to join the escape effort.
I'm not in the mood for a chat today. Can't snitch me out.
Well, I tell you.
Fucker was holding him down. Don't fuck with me, Perry. I told you.
You walk through walls, Lenny. Say we talk. Well, it goes without saying.
Yeah, goes without saying.
Over the following days, Perry, Brody, and Drake meet in secret to refine their plan. They discuss potential routes, weak spots in the walls, and the necessary tools for their escape, all while playing dominoes to avoid suspicion. Meanwhile, Tony keeps a watchful eye on them, sensing something unusual is happening. During a prison boxing match, Drake faces off with 2-Ton. Despite his best efforts to fight back, Drake is brutally beaten, his face covered in blood. Just when it seems he's about to give up, he finds the strength to throw a punch at 2-Ton, knocking out the boxer's diamond-studded tooth. Seizing the opportunity, Drake quietly picks up the tooth and stashes it away, though he's soon thrown back to the ground. Later that night, Drake uses the diamond from the tooth to craft a crucial tool for the escape. With expert precision, he attaches the diamond to a steel drum he stole from the laundry room, assembling it into a device that will help them break free. The next day, Perry notices the shower drain and instinctively looks away when Tony catches his gaze. Tony moves closer, threatening to expose Perry's plan to Rizza unless Perry provides him with Cat, the drug. Perry laughs nervously, trying to remain calm as Tony continues to taunt him with a menacing smirk. Tony demands that Perry get him some Cat or else he'll rat him out. Later, Perry intervenes to stop Lacey from cutting his wrist with a shiv, grabbing him by the shirt in a mix of anger and frustration. With his plan to see his daughter hanging in the balance, Perry warns Lacey to avoid drawing any unnecessary attention. During lunch, Batista notices Perry's agitation and asks what's wrong. Perry quickly explains the situation with Tony, and they hatch a plan to try to convince Batista to join their group in exchange for Cat. However, when Perry approaches Batista with the proposal, the drug dealer refuses. Instead, Batista suggests they kill Tony by poisoning him. Perry hesitates, worried about the trouble it could cause with Rizza. Batista, however, brushes off his concerns, claiming that many junkies die every day from overdoses. Reluctantly, Perry agrees, knowing that he has no choice but to keep Tony silent. Without wasting any more time, Batista prepares a new batch of Cat laced with poison and slips it into Perry's bunk while collecting laundry.
Cats are dangerous drug. And taste like cats.
No one touches Tony.
Who's gonna tell Rizza? Junkies die every day.
All right.
The following morning, Lacey wakes up to find Tony looming over him. Tense and frightened, Lacey struggles to escape, but Tony tightens his grip, threatening him. Tony, feeling victorious, leaves Lacey to ask for the Cat. As Perry prepares to hand it over, Sykes, Perry's ally, enters the room to test the drug. Perry's anxiety spikes as he watches Sykes approach the Cat, knowing that if Sykes tests it first, Tony will quickly realize it's been poisoned. Desperately trying to buy time, Perry asks Tony to guarantee his silence. Tony, however, grows impatient and threatens Perry, pushing him into a corner. Fearfully, Perry opens the closet to reveal the hidden Cat, ready to give it to Tony. Just as Sykes reaches for it, Lacey suddenly grabs a chair and swings it at Tony, knocking him to the ground. Tony, stunned, lies there with his face mangled. Without hesitation, Lacey grabs a pillow and attempts to suffocate him. Perry, realizing what's happening, yanks the pillow away, leaving Tony bruised and bloodied, feathers scattered around him. In the chaos, Sykes grabs the Cat and runs off. Tony, still alive, struggles to get to his feet. Wobbly, he stumbles toward the door, screaming for Rizza. The other inmates watch as he limps down the hallway, and eventually, he trips on the stairs, snapping his neck upon impact. The alarm blares throughout the prison, signaling trouble. Perry quickly locks the door and scrubs the blood off the floor, his hands shaking. In a panic, he rushes to straighten the beds. Despite his frantic movements, he knows it's all futile. The alarm continues to blare as the sound of footsteps fills the hall outside the bunk. Lacey, visibly trembling, lies in fear, dreading the consequences of what they've just done. Perry tries to offer comfort, but both men know the truth. Everything is spiraling out of control. As Perry gazes at a photo of his daughter, he tells Lacey that everything will be okay, an empty promise. Soon after, Lacey is taken into isolation, and Perry and his group debate whether they should leave him behind. Perry adamantly refuses, not willing to abandon Lacey to Rizza's wrath. However, when the others vote to leave Lacey behind, Perry reluctantly agrees, and the group focuses on pushing the escape plan forward. In the meantime, Rizza discovers Sykes' lifeless body from the poison cat. He walks into Perry's bunk, and immediately, Perry is overcome with fear. He instinctively shrinks under Rizza's presence, trying to appear calm as he offers him a cigarette. Rizza, unamused, refuses, stating he doesn't like smoking around him. Perry quickly snuffs out his cigar, growing more tense by the second. Rizza then mocks him about his family, and when he notices Zoe's photo, he picks it up with a wicked smile. Perry watches helplessly as Rizza examines the photo, his demeanor turning icy and dangerous. Rizza presses Perry about the situation, and Perry, struggling to keep his composure, fabricates a story. Rizza immediately sees through the lie, and his calm demeanor shifts to one of fury. With a chilling stare, Rizza threatens Perry, ordering him to bring Lacey to his bunk when he returns. Rizza leaves, leaving Perry shaken, yet resolute. Despite the looming threat, Perry remains focused on his plan, determined to do whatever it takes for Zoe. The group continues preparing for the escape, sneaking equipment into laundry baskets and hidden spots throughout the prison, their breaths held as they edge closer to their ultimate goal. However, their plans are interrupted when Perry is unexpectedly called to the visiting room. He enters cautiously, confused about the summons. On the other side of the glass, a woman stares at him, her eyes heavy with sorrow. As the tension in the air builds, the woman breaks down in tears, shaking her head in disbelief. It's in that moment that Perry realizes with a sinking heart, it's his daughter, Zoe, and she's gone. Overcome with grief, Perry rises unsteadily from his seat, tears filling his eyes as he leaves the room, his world shattered. When Lacey returns from isolation, he finds Perry sitting quietly on his bed, gazing at the photo of his daughter. Despite the turmoil he's facing, Perry nonchalantly asks Lacey where he's from. Their exchange feels almost like an attempt to momentarily forget Perry's grief over Zoe's overdose. After a brief chat, Perry mentions Rizza's demand and hands Lacey a piece of paper, asking him to deliver it to Brody. Although Lacey is confused, he complies and leaves to do as asked. Perry, left alone in his room, sinks deeper into his depression, realizing that his only reason for living is now gone. Time seems to pass faster as Drake, in the meantime, enters the confession booth, marking the start of their escape plan. When Lacey arrives with the paper, he hands it to Brody. Brody reads it carefully, his expression darkening with each line. Perry has decided to remain behind. The gang moves forward with the escape, unaware of Perry's decision. Meanwhile, Perry enters Rizza's bunk. Though Rizza asks about Lacey, Perry remains casual, engaging him in a conversation about a book he's read. Frustrated by the lack of response to his questions, Rizza asks again, but Perry persists in talking about the book. With a strange glint of hope in his eyes, Perry tells Rizza that he's finally free, much like his daughter. Rizza laughs it off, mocking Perry's words as a delusion. But Perry, undeterred, stares at him seriously and says that imagination is what keeps people going. In an unexpected moment of clarity, Perry tells Rizza that he's living a lie, believing he owns everything and everyone. With a quiet shake of his head, he adds that no one will remember him. Offended, Rizza attempts to intimidate Perry, but the tables turn when Perry smirks and hands him a shiv. He coldly informs Rizza that Lacey is gone. Perry then turns to leave, but suddenly, Rizza stabs him in the back.
There'd be someone I'd sit down and talk to, tell him how things really are. But I can't.
Where is he?
But do you know something? Like my little girl.
You've got an imagination.
But less and less. Nothing except cells, bombs. You'll never live. No.
You behave yourself.
Pain surges through Perry's body as he collapses to the floor, his life slipping away. Paramedics and officers rush to his aid, but Perry's mind begins to drift. His fading consciousness conjures a fantasy of him escaping with his friends. In his vision, he crawls through the vents, swims through water, and finally reaches a concrete wall with the group. In his mind, he loses Brody as his friend is buried alive. Overcome with euphoria, Perry continues to imagine the loss of Drake and Batista as they race down tracks, each moment a blur of emotion. As Perry's fantasy continues, he reaches the station with Lacey, and in this final, peaceful vision, he is reunited with his daughter in a beautiful, tranquil park in London, the afterlife. The movie ends with this bittersweet reunion. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you in the next video.